Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to my land stream. This is Brybro27 talking, aka Bryant's. And today's gonna be a fun stream. Today we got a special guest Moriarty95. In case you haven't heard of him, he's a pretty big player out in the Splinterlands community. As you may see right here, we're jumping right into his profile, and I'm showing that he has a title that a lot of you may not recognize, but he actually is the Grand Master. And if you're not connecting the dots, he is the one and only that is behind the Grandmaster Wraith that just came out. And did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. So welcome, Moriarty. I'm glad to have you here.
Welcome.
Today, again, all we can really do in these streams right now are just speculate and discuss what we want and what we think is going to be implemented with land. So, the main reason why Moriarty is here because he actually they're not fully uh, released just yet. But he made some pretty cool posts that basically where he compares Splinterlands land functionality or how he sees how land's going to work and compares it to a similar game that he's been playing called Stronghold. And it's really cool to see the different aspects and similarities that Splinterlands team, could kind of pull from existing games and just how similar gameplay and other aspects can work. So we're not going to go through the post word by word, but there's a lot of cool, interesting points that I think he brings up that I definitely like to just discuss openly and see if they're good topics to discuss and see how that may come to fruition down the road when the team actually gets to it. But before all that, let's start with an introduction. I know I did just a pretty quick and high level overview introduction, but I'll let you start off. Like, how long have you been playing? And yeah, why do you like Splinterlands?
All right. Well, that was actually already a good introduction. So for those who don't know me, my name is Moriarty95. My guild's mates are calling me Mori. I am part of the Legendary Dragons, so shout out to those guys. We are the biggest German-speaking guild out there currently. And I joined, let me check real quick. I joined Splinterlands in July 2020, which is actually 2 years ago.
Yeah, two
Feels
year
like
anniversary
yesterday,
right
actually.
now.
Seems like it. um, so yeah, I've heard people calling me an OG, but I'm actually not. Because I joined when Untamed was already in the store, and there are people out there who joined way earlier than me, when there wasn't even a game out there yet. Um, However, you can call me an OG when it comes to land, because I participated in the first land pre-sale, where I bought most of my collection, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
I would still define you as an OG. I mean, I kind of reference myself as an OG because in my mind, an OG is anyone that's was here before like the big boom, which almost happened, I think, a year ago, where we went from 5,000 daily active players to uh, over 200, 300,000 in what a
Mhm.
matter of like a couple weeks. So I think that's for the most players here. I think technically OG is a pretty accurate term, but not the same OG as being here in alpha and beta. But can't really complain. I mean, I wish I got in when you got in.
Yeah,
It would have been
well,
nice.
the funny thing is when I joined, I had the feeling that I might be a little late to the party, but this was obviously not the case. I did quite good. Um, but to all players who are out there who are currently feeling the same way, maybe have faith. I believe there is still plenty of room for growth, and yeah, but no financial advice, obviously. Like, everything I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think even people that's kind of the whole point of the stream though too, is I'm curious to see everything that we discuss right now and just the state of the market and all that, how interesting it'll be, come a year from today where we're at. And I mean, I feel like people that are joining in now, they're going to say the same thing. They feel like they're late, but then compared to people that may be joining next year, I mean, that just cycle is going to keep repeating. So better that you're in here now. And if you aren't, I mean, kind of missing out. But you want to explain? So the Grandmaster title, I mean, I've never seen that title before. I actually don't have it, which I'm a little salty about because I almost have one of each. But yeah, it seems like a unique title. How did you get that?
Yeah, yeah. So you're just lacking the unique title. Um, well, when I joined Splinterlands, I there wasn't how do I say that? There wasn't much to buy, so I just bought skins. I bought up whole collections, all different cards, everything I could get my hand onto. Then I discovered physical Kickstarter rewards, and I bought some of those cards, the printed law book, and eventually I came across this Kickstarter pledge where you got a unique title, and I haven't heard about that because no title has been activated. And I found someone who sold me two actually, so I still own one unactivated unique title. And I guess there are only three, no, four. I think there are four out there.
So for
So if you're
activated
interested,
titles,
let me. No, I'm the only one who activated it.
okay, that's what I thought. Sorry.
Everyone else holds back.
Okay.
Maybe they wait till they have a good enough idea. I don't know. But
that's
yeah, so that's where the Grandmaster title came.
That's awesome. And then, I mean, yeah, I think that's super cool. I mean, that's one of like the most limited items I think in this game, just in general.
Well,
So,
exactly, yeah. But well, the most limited it would be, I think, Mighty Tricken Gold Foil because there is only one out there.
all right, we can't be pickers and choosers now, all right?
Yeah,
I
I
think,
yeah, that was a bit too expensive for me, but would be cool to have it.
yeah, no doubt about that one. So, I don't know if people like I mentioned too. So, not only do you have the title, but you actually just have a legendary summer Chaos Legion summoner that just came out. How did you how did that all happen? And then is there any kind of like unique story behind, the summoner itself and maybe the abilities too?
Well, for the abilities, I wasn't. I only was allowed to make suggestions.
Okay.
So the abilities are basically all Matt territory. Um, I suggested him to use something anti-mage because I thought life is just lacking that option.
Mhm.
Um, so void armor obviously counters magic pretty good. The story behind it, well, like I said, I joined when Untamed went live, and there I learned that some summoners or monsters are actually designed by players. Um, so I learned about that, but I was a little late for the Untamed one, and I had to wait all the way until Chaos Legion came across. So that was actually my last big milestone or goal I had in the game. So I think I have to come up with some new stuff I want to do. Um, yeah, but how did I get to design a card? I participated in the Chaos Legion pre-sale, where the top 6 buyers got to design a character, and I bought, I think it was 17,500 Chaos Legion packs. But it was when we also needed vouchers, which were trading for $15 to $20 at the time. So I guess you can imagine how bad I wanted this.
Yeah, didn't you squeak into that? I think you just got
I
the
made it.
6th
I
spot,
made it
right?
really. Yeah, yeah. And I felt so sorry for that. But it really, I made it last minute, just because the Hive blockchain connection was so good.
I mean,
Uh,
if you didn't do it, someone was gonna do it, so it's all about being
yeah,
competitive, and you got it, so you can't complain now, it's pretty cool.
exactly. So yeah, and I drafted life in it. Initially, I wanted Actually, I wanted to have death because for me, death is the weakest splinter out there, and I just wanted to add something very powerful to it and maybe elevate it a bit. But I drafted life to my surprise, and I didn't know anything about the law or culture or whatnot about Cameria.
Sure.
So I dived deep into it, and I just at this point I can only highly recommend you guys checking out the lore behind Splinterlands because it's amazing. You can just tell that there are so many passionate people behind this, and it just the game. You look at the game very differently. It just makes everything better. So check out the lore. Maybe even check out the latest lore video from Grandmaster Wraith because I spent quite some time on that story of his, and you might spot one or two details about Cameria and culture and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I mean, you may hate me because unfortunately, I have not watched that, but I will
Oh,
back up your statement about watching the lore because that's something I've always wanted to do, and that's definitely a stream topic I wanted to cover because I think a lot of what we see that comes out with land is going to relate to the lore, and if you're not, familiar with it, you may miss some important details. I don't think it's crucial to running your land and making it the most efficient, but who
mhm.
knows? They may kind of build that into it, and if you know certain things about the lore, it may help you. So
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
cool though,
And
and sorry, I did hear I saw they're starting to make these characters come to life too, and I think yours is the second one to do that. So I mean that's definitely I think right after this I do want to watch that because just what they're doing with that it is crazy. It's not just a simple like 2D game anymore.
mhm.
Right,
Well,
awesome.
but the lore actually, there are people out there like I haven't asked him how I should pronounce it. Gwazil, Vasil, I don't know. He's a player who focuses all the way and that dives very deep. I think no one else knows so much about the lore in Splinterlands like he does.
Sure.
And he takes every post or any new information they give us, and um, he shares his thoughts about land and how that could turn out, and maybe details about the map, how the map could look like. So really check that out. If you plan such a stream, you should invite him.
Yeah, absolutely. I know who exactly that Grabsil or whatever, in the Discord, the LAN channel. Yeah, I've definitely seen him post, especially with the new lore posts. He does always connect it with land, and how it may relate. That's a good one. Would love to have him on again. I need to catch up myself before I even dive into that. But it's like I said, it'd be a very interesting topic to explore. So with that being said, let's try to get more into land here. So
Yeah,
i-
sure.
if we
Back to
want to
land.
start off, do you mind sharing? So like, what's your land portfolio looking like? I think that just kind of helps give people a perspective of where you're coming from. And I know you did
Sure.
say you participate in the pre-sale. So how lucky did you get in terms of what you bought then, and then what's your holdings looking like now?
Uh, well, it has seen better days, so
Okay.
I have to admit I sold some.
Okay.
Um, but I participated in the pre-sale, and I actually the very first round of pre-sale, the demand was so high that they made a lottery, and I think it was 30 people were allowed to buy a region, and I was one of them. Back then, it was I think 7K, and DEC price was also low, so I made additional discount, and I think I paid $4,000
Unreal.
for a region, and that turned out to be one of the best decisions I ever made.
Yeah.
And eventually, in the next pre-sale phases, I also bought some tracts, some single plots. Um, yeah, over time, some bought, some sold. In the end, currently, I'm sitting at one region, three tracts, and 10 plots. So it's 1,310. A bit less than you.
I mean, that's a good dent, and that's
Yeah,
quite the spread
I
too.
agree.
and you did pay less than me, so way less. It's I just again, I think it's interesting to see. So far, I think we've only had kind of um, I've had people on that do have large portfolios. And again, I do want to eventually get even people that may just have multiple plots and just kind of get their perspective. So, all about perspective. And I think everyone has a unique view to how land's going to work and how you're going to prepare for it. So we'll get there eventually, but I love to hear it. I mean, what you did say you sold. I mean, that's not an issue. I think everyone, especially with how land prices, how high they were a few months ago. I mean, I'm kind of pinching myself right now for not selling as much because the amount you could buy it back technically is I don't know. You could probably have tripled or quadrupled what you had before if you sold. So can never be mad about that. Are you looking to buy any
Yeah.
more, or are you pretty happy with your holdings?
Well, I'm actually at this point, I'm actually happy. So I at one point when the prices got really, really high, I bought actually a plot for $1,000 and sold it 1 or 2 weeks later for 8 or 9. It was insane. Um, but yeah, I wish, I would have bought a second region now, but too late for that. But yeah, my overall goal or my master plan all along was I want to own one region which I can manage, and who knows, maybe I don't I'm not able to manage it on my own, and then I can rent it out. But I want to own one region, and also one tract within my guild's region. Any land I have on top of that is just. I thought maybe if more infos come out regarding lands and they say, oh, you need these and these cards, then I can sell some of this land and finance anything I need in the future. And that's actually what I did with the Chaos Legion pre-sale because I sold some land in order to finance that top spot battling in the pre-sale.
Got
So
it.
I guess when Rift Watchers come, I might sell another tract, but I don't know. Depends on the price.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that was a worth uh, the whole selling and getting that top spot. Pretty worth it because you're a staple in the game now. Can't really beat that. We'll get to. So I mean, we kind of covered some goals there, but there's always other topics we can get onto. But with that all being said, I do want to transition over to your post. And like I mentioned before, actually, let me get to just a quick question by Solus Mike. He's asking, do we know how many players own a piece of land? If you ask that for my next stream, I could probably answer that. But there is an API, I think, that shows how many players own at least like one plot. And then obviously how many own a tract in a region. So I can't tell you that right now. I'd have to dig into that a
Well,
little bit,
on
but
you can look it up on Peak Monsters in the top holders rich list. So when it comes to land plots, that's currently 3,339 players holding at least one plot in the game. So if they have it on Hive Engine or on Atomic Hub, that is not in this list, but I think that's a good estimate.
yeah,
So
uh,
3.3K.
good start. Definitely a good start to answer that. I think there's an API call that shows how many own it across. Yeah, I think even those other chains, at least
Hmm.
between Atomic. So yeah, that's a fair point. I mean,
Yes.
compared to what the 200, 300,000 daily active accounts, I mean that's very small, very small number. So if you're able to snag one of those, I mean you're in a pretty small like community of landholders. Pretty cool. All right, so moving on. Let's get to your post. So I try to sum it up at the start. I'll do it a quick again. Um, I'll include the link to your Peak D profile in my recording. Obviously, going to record this and post it up to YouTube, but definitely want to recommend everyone checking out your profile because that's where all the posts are going to be, obviously. And Yeah, so I had the pleasure of being able to read all these posts beforehand. There's 7 of them, including the overview. And what Moriarty does is he compares Splinterlands, how he views Splinterlands Land is going to function and the whole gameplay, and compares that to a game called Stronghold. Now, I've never played Stronghold myself. It seems like it's a little bit of an older game, but it's very similar in some of the concepts in terms of just how land functions, different resources that you can harvest, crafting items, building buildings on your lands, all that good stuff. And so I figured this may be a perfect time to just speculate on how we think that's going to function. And then there's definitely a few interesting topics that I like to go over that I don't think a lot of people have really thought of. And it'd be interesting to see, how the team implements it just because I don't know, there's a lot of different opportunities that they could take with it. So, yeah, we'll just start off diving in, kind of go in order. The first one I'm showing here right now is a world map. I will start off saying I think through all the town halls that we know, we've kind of the team's basically been explaining how once the whole land reveal happens, is that we'll be able to view, I guess, every single plot, tract, and region from like a world map perspective. So kind of showing it in here. You have this screenshot that's been shared a bit, but this is basically all Pretoria, and then all the little um, icons are like the little regions that are making it up. And I think that's it's obviously a good view. I think everyone is kind of used to that. What I thought was really cool is, I mean, everything's been talked about the whole worldview. I don't think I've never saw anything about like the card view. So you know how currently we have monsters, all like the cards in the game right now, like it's just all about viewing them as cards. Um, I think just through all the discussions about land, people forget that that's each land is an NFT and it's technically going to be like a card as well. And so rather than viewing it from the world map, I mean, it makes sense that there's obviously going to be a card view to better manage and view your collection rather than just looking all over the world map. So in his first post here, believe he used Paint or whatever the application was to kind of mock up, what uh, your representation or what you visualize how it may look. And this is I'm trying to show right now. You can't really view in too
Mhm.
much. Um, but it's pretty cool. I mean, like I've never seen it like this. And I think this is cool because we're talking about having a region, and I can't imagine trying to scroll through a world map looking at all your different plots, types of plots, and all that. Having a unique card view, I think, is gonna be super easy because then you can filter it down by rarities, type of plot, maybe by buildings, depending on what you have. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
exactly. And
I'll let you.
and
You
it
want to
just
add
makes
anything to
sense.
that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I got the idea or the hint on the world map that was shared with us because on the top right there was a button called card view. So I think that
Yep.
you can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. On
Yep.
the top right you can see card view, and that was my thought. So okay, maybe in addition to the these overview or card land plot views they shared with us, I was like, okay, that's probably how we will see land in our inventory. And um, so if you can go back, it'll be hard. It'll be hard talking about it with a bit of delay.
Yeah. Should be good
So
now.
yeah, that's what I came up with. I didn't waste too much time for variety, but I think you get the idea. So there you can filter like your cards by splinter, by resource, by on the top right. I added some filters for castle keeps. So I just think that these eye candies they shared with us are merely an card overview um, or a plot overview in card form. They will use for inventory view and also for the market view because you can tell by looking at it. You can tell by looking at it at once or just once, um, which splinter is it? Is there a building on it? Which level is it? And all these details just by one quick look. And yeah, that's how I came up with that one.
Yeah, very simple, but like I said, I think it's kind of been glossed over, and we haven't really got this same representation explained to us before. So I liked it. I kind of was attracted to it right away because I just never thought about it. And I can only imagine just the whole market looking like this rental market. It just makes it super easy. But I mean, even with that being said, if I go back to this world map, this is what again, these are all kind of like this is an actual screenshot that Nate shared. It's basically just a concept art, so it's not official. Everything that we talk about obviously is still to be determined, nothing concrete. But like even if you look at this, this is a world map view. And then there's three tabs on this owns, for sale, and all. And I'm pretty sure your post covers this too in a little bit more detail, but I do like the whole aspect of like if you were to click the for sale tab, having it show only the plots from a world map view that are for sale. Because I mean that can make it easier too to navigate if there's a certain location that you want to be in. I mean most of the plot types are probably going to be determined by its location, so that can make it easier for you to navigate. Rather than selecting, I think, like from the card view, a certain resource. I'm not sure. Maybe you want to be closer to some of the land that you already own, so you may use this tab. I just think in general it'll be cool to see from both views what's for sale. I assume there's probably be something what's for rents, possibly. Not sure.
It's not
Um,
in there yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
That's
That
also a
may
point
be.
I
Yeah, that may be looped into the for sale as well. Who knows? But I mean, also go along with this view. You can also see just the different kind of resource types that they have in here, different numbers and all that to that. So, I mean, this whole world map view, I think, is going to be pretty cool just to see at like the high level overview, all the different statistics um, that affect the land. And then obviously, yeah, once you can probably see, what you own, what's for sale, and just everything, it'll be cool.
right. Actually, you when we talked about my posts, I thought about land a bit more. So you kind of you sparked my excitement again with your invitation to the stream, and I came up with another thing that is actually that's my biggest concern for land. So don't get me wrong, I'm really excited for land. I have high hopes for the team. They they're gonna deliver. No questions in that. However, I think, or if you really think about it, so oh, I wonder how they will do this or that, then you really you realize very fast how hard it's actually going to be to balance such a system, and how
Yep.
challenging. They just have a bunch of challenging obstacles they have to overtake. So my biggest concern is actually rentals, because I thought about it for a long time, and I have no idea how they're gonna do that. And so I maybe I try to explain it. For me, the overall goal for land will or should be to attract new players and to bring them into our ecosystem. And who knows, that might even be players who don't like the card or don't like card games at all and are only interested in that new land management strategy game style game. And that's why land has to be perfect and act as a game on its own. But therefore, it needs to offer a fun gameplay experience. Um, so I just can't imagine that a new player would come in and spend $1,000, $2,000 on a plot just to start playing. Because and also on top of that, you would also need cards and maybe even totems, so you can boost your production. You can actually participate in the land game, and that's a pretty high entry barrier. Um, so either they make most aspects of land be playable for everyone, even if you don't own plots, or you have to come up with the right balance so that rentals are a thing. Because what we know so far about land is that it will give you an what is it? It will give you a passive income, and then you stake stuff to boost that income. And by micromanaging, you might boost it even more. However, you can also just let it sit and do the work for you. So that's that's the hard part for a game that is idle, because if I don't have to do anything for my rewards, why would I rent it to someone so he doesn't have to do anything? Because for cards on the card rental market, you still need to take action to be rewarded. You have to play the game, take a scholar to play the game for you, use a bot service to play the game for you. In any case, you have to do something to be rewarded. So if you want less work, you can also put the cards up for rent. And for me, it just I don't know why I would rent out the plot if it's really just an idle game. So we just know so little about land expansion, but I don't know. That's just a point that came to my mind.
I mean, that's very fair. There's nothing wrong with having concerns too, because I mean, there's so much still unknown. I mean, we're all in this together, and everything that we bring up, I'm sure the team's going to listen to and try to tackle.
Hmm.
So, I guess from my perspective, I rental. I when we get to land phase two, which will be like the first land functionality release, I don't think land rentals are going to be a part of that. Because like kind of what you're explaining, I think
Yeah.
renting out land is just a whole nother beast to the land functionality that there's just no way they're gonna have time to fit that in, and that's fine. I mean, I'm the way they like to move is that they like to kind of get something out there, kind of like a MVP. So just like a basic concept out there, collect feedback, and then it allows players to actually start using it, even if it's bare minimum functionality. It still lets people start using it, and then they just build on top of it um, every week, every couple weeks. During that whole process, they're able to collect feedback from actual players and just see how it goes, and then they can enhance it as they deem necessary. I mean, we can see that currently just with the whole card gameplay, modern and wild, ranked rewards. There's just always constant iterations being made. So obviously, I don't think Land's gonna differentiate from that, or go away from that whole concept of how they work on these big projects. In terms of rentals, like itself, though, I don't know. So I think like from our standpoint, like I probably won't have enough time to manage all my land efficiently. So I think that's one of the biggest perks of rentals is just to like from my perspective, um, I most likely will rent out a decent chunk of land just because it lets me not have to worry about that number of land, and then I can maybe focus on just one region because there's just no way I can. I think like 2,000 individual plots, worrying about what building is on each, what building level, which one I should upgrade first, what workers to put on, what totems to put on, like that. Even though it's being described as a passive income, I think there's going to be a lot of work and time that's going to be needed to efficiently work your land. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from rentals.
Hmm.
It just allows people to free up time, and that's just same thing with cards. I think is that if you find yourself not playing as much, or you're going to be away from the game for a while, it allows you to earn while you're away by just renting stuff out. So I think that exists, but now if you want to fully like maximize the rewards possible, I do think again same thing with playing the game. I think if you're actually the one managing your land, you're probably going to be earning more than renting out. And I think that's same with playing cards rather than renting them out. I think the reward of playing is a lot higher than actually renting out. But everyone has their own, obviously own
Mm.
perspective on that. So could be true, could be not. That's just my perspective. But yeah, and also I do want to touch on just for new players. I don't think LAN is going to be for any player that just comes in. Um, just because I think it's so limited. I think that was just the whole point is that it's all sold out and that's all there's going to be. I think rentals is that first kind of step in the door that allows new players to just get like a feel of what land is for cheap rather than like you mentioned buying potentially like $1,000 plot just to start managing. Renting would be the most easiest. So I don't know what the value is going to be, but say like $1 for one plot for a day. It lets them just kind of get a feel for how it works, what they can do, and then let them decide if that maybe they want to buy some or rent more, or just develop a strategy on their own. One thing I do think though, or I don't know again for sure, but I think it'd be interesting when it comes to items and spells, which is what you're going to be able to craft with the resources that you get from land. I do think it'll work similar with how like starter cards are, and there'll probably be like a starter card set of items and spells. So that way, like when a new player comes in, they're not at a complete disadvantage from other players that may have bought items or spells or rented even those. Because I think it'll be similar where you'll have maybe just like one or two starter card items and spells. That way, new players can still use them. But then if you're a little bit more than just a new player, you're more involved, then you could, rent out maybe more of the higher rarity items and spells, or level them up on your own and just make them a little bit better. That was a lot, I guess, right there that we just discussed. But
Yeah,
I think overall, I think it definitely is a fair concern. But renting out
yeah.
is just going to be a huge beast.
I mean, it for me, it all came down to this passive income info, or that's actually how they pitched it. Like, um, land is gonna be all about constructing buildings, upgrading buildings. You get resources on an automatically, and rewards automatically, and that's my next point for rentals. Because it's all about constructing and upgrading buildings. Will people be able to construct or upgrade buildings on plots they rent? Because that's an important point you have to consider.
Hmm?
Imagine I rent out 100 plots because it's too much for me to manage, or to upgrade it myself. I don't know. After a week or month of renting it, I check back on them and see that players have upgraded these plots and they are now amazing, and so I take them back. But how is that fair in a way for the players investing work, time, money, resources to level these plots up? That's just so they On the other hand, if they now say constructing or upgrading buildings are monetary transactions and can only be done to owned plots, you get the same problem from above. Because why would I rent out a plot when I leveled it up myself already and get a bunch of rewards automatically? So it's just a thought I had prior to this stream, and thought it might be interesting.
Yeah,
Because I didn't add it to my post actually, which I might do.
it's never too late to make a new one. As he's probably jotting that down right now. So stay tuned for post number 7. um,
Yeah, I'm just gonna listen to the replay.
Perfect. Yeah, I think those are all fair
You
points.
are recording this.
I am. Definitely am.
Great.
So
That
hopefully, I'd
answers.
say once we get more details, it'll be interesting to see, this discussion, how close it is, or maybe how far off we turn out to be. Who
Mhm.
knows? I do want to keep us moving a little bit. So that's basically a world map. Castles and keeps. If you're not entirely sure what castles and keeps, I think I covered a little bit in one of my videos before. Um, one thing I think is very interesting is a voting system that you kind of proposed. And so when we talk about taxes and keeps and castles, I think the main functionality is that, again, it's not for sure, but like that's what castles and keeps are going to be used to. Is that in a way of like those are going to be the markets technically? Or there's going to be some effect where everyone within that tract and region, that castle and keeps going to affect their land in some way, shape, or form. So there's talk of like a tax system of whatever may be harvested within that tract. The keep gets a certain share just because it's providing like a certain bonus, and then there's some type of taxes. Same thing with the castles. What we've been told though too is that keeps and castles are going to be similar with buildings in terms of um, like you'll be able to level them up, and then obviously the higher you level them up, the more uh, boost it may give off to everyone. So it'll be interesting to see, um, if you don't own a full tract or full region. Obviously the tract and region that your single plot may be in or your multiple plots may be in, it's going to be affected by whoever runs that castle and whoever runs the keep. um, so for like the case, I think the most like interesting case is, say someone just whatever reason stops playing and they turn out to own like the keep that your plot is in. What happens? Are you just going to be negatively affected by that just because they're not, upgrading it like they should? Or is there going to be like another system in place to allow like the whole everyone in that track to maybe participate and come as like a community to upgrade it? But then is that fair? Because then that person technically gets the value of an upgraded castle or keep. I'm not sure. So in your post, you mentioned potentially having a voting system where everyone within the tracts or like the region, um, they have a vote and they could potentially vote someone to be like the manager of the castle slash keep. You want to maybe give a little more info on that and just what you vision, how that may help and how that may work?
Well, sure. I had thought um, when I thought about like you said, if one player owns, maybe he even owns one plot and got super lucky and had the castle or the keep, is that player going to manage that plot, or is it just a tracked region thing? Um, and then I thought maybe we could also, while comparing Stronghold Kingdoms to Splinterlands, I thought about what would bring what this system would bring to us, and it also gives you a way for a PvP system actually, where you don't have to uh, aggressively attack one another's plots and rob resources and so on, because it's still a monetary game, and those kind of things can get out of hand
Hmm.
quite quickly. So that's kind of a way to add a non-aggressive PvP mode to it. If you fight for castle controls, keep controls, like a democracy system in there, and the one you vote for keep or castle ruler would be able to decide certain things like taxes. Like for me, I imagined the keep or castle having multiple buildings, not just one. Um, because in Stronghold Kingdoms, for example, it is right at the start, the keep or castle is empty, and the sheriff or the ruler of that keep or castle is able to decide which buildings do I want to put in there first, and that costs money generated by taxes. So he can either be selfish and say, okay, you know what, I all my plots in that region get myself salt, so I'm just gonna be build a salt guild. Um, or he listens to the community and everyone decides democratically and so on. Um, so I just thought that that's a nice system to have, and that would be a possibility to make land gameplay a little more immersive. And it would not just be, oh, you know what, there's this keep or plot or castle, and you can donate resources in there. That's all. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure that the one person who owns the plot where the castle or keep is located on, that this person will get some sort of passive income or share of all income generated in that tractor region.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be not, or at least I hope so, that it's not going to be a managing position, just a passive income stuff. I hope
Yeah.
it's clear what I what I mean by this.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's interesting. I think there's good things and bad things. Just like for instance, if from what we've been like, told and everything, it seems everyone's looking to be that one plot owner that gets lucky and gets like a castle or a keep. But like if this system was to be in place, then if you were just to own that one plot, it seems very easy that you could be overruled and just not be the sheriff in this case, and actually get to manage it. So I'm not sure if there's, a different way to prevent that in case, you're the one that actually wants to run it and call the shots and whatnot. But I think that's potentially a downfall. But I do think it definitely like solves that um, issue of, I mean, yeah, if the person running that owns the keeper castle is just, MIA, is not playing the game. Maybe it's one of the castles and keeps that are on the two plots that are currently burnt. I think there's a region or a tract that is technically burned as well. And I mean,
Really?
yeah. So just like what happens then? Because that does again, like I said, negatively impacts um, everyone within that tract or everyone within that region. And I don't think that's fair for those to do that because I mean that affects people that may be renting, people that may be buying. I mean you don't want to buy into a region that the castle is just not being managed because it's just it won't give you as good of a certain boost as someone that could be completely upgrading it every day every week or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it, but I think overall like the voting system. I think what Matt um, referenced, it was a while ago, but he did manage this question did come up before in a town hall, and I think he mentioned that his first instinct was to allow everyone within that tract and region to basically allocate resources to upgrade the castle or keep themselves. So that way, that single player isn't the only one that can do it. Just the whole, everyone within that tract and region can do it. But then again, I just don't know like how fair that'd be if someone just gets lucky, doesn't manage it at all, then all of a sudden they have a maxed out keeper castle and they didn't provide any work in it. Maybe if that's the case, maybe they don't earn as much from like taxes or whatnot if they actually don't put in work. I don't know. But I think there's two different options right there that could potentially just help solve this issue. Um, I like them both, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, right. So basically, what I did with all these posts actually is I raised questions I had about land and kind of looked at struggled kingdoms and tried to find something similar. So maybe that brings actually it's all just a bunch of speculations stuffed together. And my goal for all of this and all of these posts is actually just to raise or maybe spark the discussions about land and maybe get some people excited again and talk about different mechanics or mechanisms and functionalities and share ideas because in Splinterlands the team is listening to the players, which is not a given for a gaming company, and so I think if we can, or if I manage to spark this discussion in the land discussions channel, for example, then we might improve the land gameplay. So that's just the overall goal. It's a bunch of speculation. I'm not saying that all of these ideas are perfect, but they're interesting. So take it as you want.
No, absolutely. I mean, what we're that's the whole point of this stream as well. It's just to be that secondary resource to spark up conversation and just be another resource for players too. And like you mentioned, team definitely does listen. I don't think half of this has even been finalized on their end, and anything that we discuss here and they see, I mean, they're gonna consider it, and I can say that just from a team perspective as well. I mean, I see some of those conversations working with them, so it's awesome, and I like discussing it now because I think a lot of people aren't even thinking, this in depth and land. And it's just like a whole nother side of it. And it, it just goes to, I think, the whole fact that land it's going to be a game of its own. So I don't know. I think it's gonna take a lot more time than just what we currently know as Splinterlands and battling with cards. It's gonna be a whole new beast, a whole new economy, and that's kind of what makes it exciting to be like part of that. Because it's also going to be like the backbone of how I think Splinterlands evolves too. I'll transition just a little bit more. I know we're taking up a lot of time, which I mean, can't complain. I don't mind at all. I think these are all good conversations. I think the other topic I did want to cover were buildings. Again, we don't know too much about how buildings are going to function. I think all we know are the types of buildings potentially that we may be able to build on our land plots. But one thing I did want to mention, and you definitely covered on your post too, is the fact on whether um, we will need to have storage buildings on our plots, just like in order to store the bare minimum of resources for either like that plot or just multiple resources that you collect. Um, or if we're gonna have like a standard base storage, just like as a player. Um, I like the latter where I would imagine we'll have some type of um, storage, just like that's part of like I don't know how you say it, part of your accounts. It'll probably be very little, but at least like if you think of it from like a new player perspective or like a single plot owner, um, you don't want to get stuck with having just to have a storage building on it and then not be able to technically like craft stuff or build all those other buildings to create new opportunities. So that's why I like that consideration, just having some type of limited, I guess, storage just like on your account yourself. But then if you wanted to obviously increase that limit, then that's where those storage buildings come into play. I mean, when I was reading this too, I was also thinking that guilds may have some effect on this too. It'd be kind of cool if you had like a guild
Ooh.
storage, because that just could be another kind of like DEC sync, another building that gets attached to guilds themselves, which I think is going to be another aspect of the game that will evolve with land. I think that'd be a good opportunity to get people to throw DEC at like guilds and upgrade, because then that guild could store just for everyone. Not, I don't think your guild would be able to access your resources, but it'll just be like another like increase to kind of just give another reason to get guilds into the land functionality, and then also just let that's more of like a community upgrade too, and not just on you. So I'll stop there. I'll let you throw out your thoughts on the whole topic too.
Oh, now you got me all confused with that guild idea because I haven't thought about that. My idea was that there are special buildings within your castle and keep that act as DC, SPS voucher sinks. But that actually, now that I think of it, it would be more fair to do that in guilds. Because if you're just a player who doesn't participate anything, you can end up getting a bunch of bonuses just for free without doing anything. And I think that's a nice idea. So to get a guild, um, maybe you know what?
The light bulb's going
Oh
off.
damn! Yeah. My post is getting bigger now. Not published yet, so I can change some stuff. Um, but now I lost the idea. However, just gonna just read my post and share your thoughts about it. Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll
really,
touch on
I lost that thought.
your castles and keeps. I mean, I don't see why there can't be like multiple opportunities for this, because I think storage is gonna be huge. I think that's gonna be like the biggest aspect that it's going to affect everyone obviously. And so I think if you have more options on how you can increase it, I think it's going to be better rather than just being limited to like, let's just say you need a storage um like building on your plot or on your plots. I think castles and keeps, that is a pretty cool aspect too. If you wanted to, rather than get stuck with building a storage, if you could throw resources in the castle and keep, I think that's cool because in that, from what we know, still think it's going to be one building per plot, at least starting off. So I mean, if you can rely on your castle or keep to store for you, I mean that lets you be able to build all the other different buildings that you may want. So I like that too. Not everyone does play in guilds either. But I was just the reason for that thinking of guilds is just like I like guilds are gonna have to be incorporated into land in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
I thought that was, I mean, it has to be an easy one, and that to me seems like the easiest one that they could implement first. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more of maybe implementing brawls into land as well. 'Cause I know
Yeah, sure.
you touched on some different types of buildings that are in Stronghold, like, the one that popped out to me was, entertainment. I think the coolest thing that I'm really hoping for is, having, like, arenas as, like, a building potentially, and then that's where all, like so the tournaments that we currently play in, um, that technically will start be hosting on, like, players' land, and so if you wanna participate in a certain tournament, you'll have to technically travel there, and it could be like an actual like whole event that engulfs you into like the whole battle and everything, rather than just clicking on an interface right now and just submitting your battles. I mean, I think that'd be cool. So having brawls kind of do the same thing. That sounds pretty awesome. I don't know. We were talking about this before, but it's cool to see how open ended or like the amount of possibilities that the team has, and not be limited just to a few. And that's why I think all these different ideals and discussions are cool because there's just no limit to them. It'll be cool to see what the team surprises us with. Any last minute thoughts on that and about buildings or anything in general?
No, it's actually biggest part is for me also the storage because I just thought for like I said, it's a passive income thing. If that's the case, then storage prevents someone to just let it work a month and come back to the game and he has a massive amount of storage. So you can
Hmm.
limit that. And if you so the storages get full and you either have to trade these resources, spend them, burn them. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. Or you upgrade your storage, and that's why I also think that storage is going to be a huge topic. And guilds, that could work because I also thought about how you could bring guilds and tournaments and brawls into the land map and into Pretoria, just for everyone to participate in. And they might do something like that because on the eye candy that was shared with us, you can see Mox City. And for the people out there who know the lore, Mox City is the place where all the tournaments are held, and that is on the eye candy. So who knows? We might wanna or we might see some PvE thing there.
Yeah, I
Oh,
want at least some type of player verse environments first, and I think that's definitely coming because the whole boss fights. I mean, it's not even an ideal right now. It's already kind of like in place in terms of like the ideals in place. It's already been sold. Some people have rights to like creating the monsters, I think, for the boss fights. So that's gonna happen. Just a matter of when. But I do think I mean there's gonna be years. I think the next couple of years are just gonna continue building on this on the land concept, and we're gonna see stuff like that. So player versus environment first, and then maybe player versus player. That'd be kind of cool. Hopefully, I don't know if it'd be like a Clash of Clans style type of game where you could steal resources. I'm not sure if people would like that, but it would be kind of cool to like even beyond guilds having like a land specific guild where you have like more of like an alliance type,
mhm.
and then it could get really interesting to see, alliances go against other alliances and just have big old battles like that. So it's cool.
Yeah. So that
Yeah,
that was the idea behind that voting system. So to bring guilds and influence over the world map and that kind of stuff into the land expansion. And so that's gonna be exciting.
yeah, definitely will. The pocket just said, "I would absolutely hate stealing resources." I don't know if you would hate stealing them. I think I would hate getting them stolen from me. That's what I hated the
No, I
most
would.
about Clash of Clans is like waking up and like, all right, well, there goes all my elixir, and then having to start over. That definitely won't happen, but you can always think of it. Always fun to think of it. But yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up most of it. Like I said, highly recommend checking out Moriarty's profile. How are you going to post these? I think you have the overview posted right now.
I Yeah, I tried to post prior to the stream. I tried to post 3 posts all at once, and it gave me an error message, and I haven't figured it out yet. So I think today I'm gonna post part 1 and 2. Tomorrow about the same time, another 2, and the last 2 the day after. So just
Got
stay
it.
tuned. Don't read all at once, or do. I don't care if you want.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you, I would at least recommend checking it out. Maybe let's say like in the next 2 days, they should all be posted. So
Mhm.
to be safe,
Because
maybe.
that's when the discussions, hopefully the discussions start, and you can participate in those and play around ideas, and like I said, maybe the team will definitely read those if you discuss some stuff in the land discussion channel on the Discord.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Definitely feel free to give your feedback on there, even in the post too, if you want. Definitely comments could help, but I think the best part is going to take what we discuss here, and then as we start getting more details, see how we can compare them to what they announce, and then that will obviously bring up more discussions and maybe more refinement in certain parts of it. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I'm coming back in a year from now, and then we can check how many things I got right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all my guests I want back even before that because I do think the biggest, like the most interesting thing is coming back after a few months, half a year, something like that, um, watching what we discuss now, and then compare it to like where the game is then, and then how like different it is. So that is a goal with everyone. So it'll be cool. I'll definitely have you back on. I'm sure maybe we'll see more grandmasters out by then. Who knows? I do want to before we end though. I do want to just see uh, what are your I guess what's your strategy? So land reveal is gonna happen, supposed to happen the end of this quarter. Do you have any strategy currently in terms of either accumulating more plots, workers, totems, titles, anything in regards to that?
Well, I think I'm good with titles because unique title is the most rare, and I think
Yeah.
if they implement a system where it boosts your production, then I already got the top notch one. Uh, when it comes to totems, I think I might pick up another legendary totem. Depends on which plots I end up with, and maybe I'm gonna trade totems. I don't know yet. Uh, I'm not sure if I will buy any more land. Like I said, I actually my strategy is if I need funds and if I need to buy more workers, more totems, and so on, I will just sell a tract or something, or maybe my last plots. Um, yeah. When it comes to workers, I already own a large collection. I bought most of my cards when I bought my region because I thought, okay, uh, you're gonna need some workers. You better get them right now before prices rise. Um, and I looked out for cards that are not played very often, like Taveler. He's a epic summoner who rarely gets played, and that's why the price is quite good actually for an epic summoner. Um, depends on how much you will be able to boost your production by rarity. But these are some thoughts about the cards I had. I think it was Scratch Taveler. Same with Camila Sungazer in Legendary.
Hmm.
So there are a bunch of cards I think even one got even mentioned in a town hall when I think it was Aggie who mentioned buy yourself up some androids.
The good old, what are those, beta?
Is it Android? Man, I'm
Yeah,
so little
I'm
little
pulling it up
tired
too.
today.
I thought it was new. No, it's a death card, right? Not promo, it's beta, not beta. The reward card?
No, no,
What are those
it's
cards?
it's it's a common reward card, and I think it's a neutral.
Okay, Rusty Android, that's
And
what it is.
Rusty Android, that's the one, yeah. And I remember when Aggie mentioned that card, and the price immediately rose, and everyone bought that because they thought it was a hint. So yeah, I don't know what cards are gonna do with land, but I think there are some possibilities out there. And I think everyone has their own strategy. I won't share any or every strategy I have, but um, yeah, that's pretty much what my thoughts for land are.
Yeah, and I like hearing everyone's perspective. Again, that's the whole point of this stream. It's just to provide that extra perspective that some people may not think about. Like in your case, so I kind of like it. So you're basically committed to optimizing your one region, and so all those extra plots that you have behind beyond that is just going to be more used for probably reinvesting and making that region, the most profitable you can. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. Yeah. So
And
my
that's
first step was probably gonna be use all the region production to upgrade my guilds tract I have in that region, in that guilds region,
yep.
and then all access plots and land I have will upgrade my region. So
That's cool. I like the specific, just actually, or just having that goal in mind. I mean, that's a very specific one, and that's smart. Because it's, I mean, it's manageable. It's not, it's not like it's never going to end. I mean, a region I think is going to take quite a bit of time to fully optimize, but at least you have that goal in mind. I'm showing plot price. Might as well just do a quick recapping when you're on here. Plots do look a little appetizing. I would say I never thought they'd be sub 200 if you asked me like 2 months ago, but they are. I think they've been hovering average around like 150 lately, um, which is, I mean, that's pretty good. One thing I did want to show too that's I've been debating actually is totems. I think I'll probably cover this a little bit more in my next streams, just totems in general, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for value for totems, because I think totems are going to have such a spread of utility, and they're going to be like specific. So like each totem's going to be a very specific utility that it provides to like a specific plot. Um, I don't think you'll be able to use every totem on any plot. I think it's gonna be specific to like the type of plot if you really want to maximize it. And that's where I think provides value, because I think it's gonna be similar to land reveal, that you're gonna reveal, what that utility for the totem is, and you may get lucky and have like a super rare utility, and it may be like a scarce utility that doesn't really exist. The only thing though is that only half the supply is currently out there. Um, the other half is going to be minted and produced once I think land functionality is released. So whether you can harvest them or craft them, there is just half that supply that's still yet to be released. So you got to keep that in mind, because obviously that does affect its value. But I mean, for me, I think I only have around 300 totems total for my 2200 plots. So I think soon, I mean, even common totems hovering around like $15. It's been something I've been thinking about. Obviously, along with land workers, I personally have not been buying summoners yet, but I mean, what you just mentioned with like those cheap, summoners that kind of get overlooked. I think those are perfect scenarios for great land workers. Great land workers that are going to be cheap too, cheap and efficient compared to what the new Chaos Legion summoners that are a little overpopulated or just have a bigger supply, obviously. So it'll be interesting. Luthien was just commenting that she bought a bunch of comment totems recently. So yeah, I agree. Seems like you bought them before I did. So not salty about that at all. But I do like that. I mean, I do think I want technically. I think my goal is to have like get as close to having enough totems for half of my land possible. I think that's like a good start because then I can obviously uh, I'll be able to see how many I get just from actually working the land and then add from there. But I think getting half, I don't know. I don't think it could hurt. But like I said, everyone has their own strategy, their own perspective, and I'd say that's the one I've been looking at most recently. So hopefully, I mean, I'll be selfish and prices, keep going down because that just means more that we can grab up. Um, but we'll see. Other than that, do you have any closing comments, closing remarks, Morty? I think it's time to wrap this up. I think we've had some pretty good discussions, and really looking forward to having this again. Let's say like in a few months, and just see where we're at from there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have nothing to add to price wise, because I haven't looked at the prices for a month, 2 months. Kind of shocked actually,
I know.
but
Uh,
okay, we get there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good opportunity
Gotta go
for
up.
those that are trying to like build up their portfolio because again, like if you
Right.
asked us if we ever thought prices would get this low a few months ago, I mean, I would have said no because I wouldn't have bought my a tract for 30,000 at that time. I would have waited and now I could have bought three tracks.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's all about perspective. You can't predict what's going to happen. Um, all I can predict is that land is going to be huge. I see that every single stream. So if you can get in when you can, you might want to.
Yeah.
Cool. Moriarty, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for everyone that was listening. Again, I'll throw this recording on YouTube and I'll include a link to Moriarty's Peak D profile. Highly recommend checking out his profile. So when those posts go up, feel free to take a look at them and then provide any feedback that you have. I mean, obviously, we're always open for discussion in the Discord LAN channel too, just because, like Moriarty was saying, the more that we can discuss right now, just the more ideals that may pop up for the team. And it'll just help them out. So, thanks again. Appreciate your time, and everyone else. Have a good rest of the day, and thanks for joining.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Bye.